we finally got some gorgeous weather in Colorado, so I can finally get out and film. It's been kind of miserable. I've also been crazy busy running around in Utah and back and forth and in the gym a lot. So I haven't really played that much or filmed a whole lot the last couple of weeks, but with the release of the Jeremy Koling Particle Glow Tempo, I'm gonna do a deep dive into the Tempo because I have it in every single plastic that it's came in, even though weirdly they still don't have a stock run, but the stock one will likely be like this original Neutron one from the Circuit Challenge. But we got the Neutron, the Particle Glow, we got the Glow, and we got the OTB one Soft Proton, and we got the R2 from the mystery boxes. So we've got it in a bunch of different plastics to kind of see how they fly, how consistent of a mold it is, and then and just to kind of go over, have a deep dive on the Tempo. And then to compare that, I was just going to do one disc, but I've also got the old classic, the Zone. And I got a whole bunch of plastics for the Zone too. The most popular in this carry is something that it kind of constantly gets compared to. We've got titanium, ESP, Crystal Flex, UV Glow, Z Glow, Jawbreaker, and traditional Z. So we've got a ton of molds here. We're gonna throw a bunch of shots. I'll try to rapid fire through each set so we can kind of try and just a handful of holes here at Interlochen. There's a lot of kind of shortish holes that are typical to where you might throw these off a tee or throw like a type of upshot. So we'll get some forehands, some backhands, and we'll kind of see what's happening, and we'll just see how they fly. Just off the quick release, we'll look at the profile of them here. Of a Z, they're a very similar profile. They're very similar designed. The Tempo is a little bit, they have the very similar angle on below the rim, but the Tempo is a little bit shallower. It is a little bit shorter and thinner of a disc, and it's very shallow. Zones are pretty shallow on the inside rim, which is kind of where they were kind of created this kind of not quite a mid-range, more of this kind of overstable, aggressive approach disc, you know, not quite a putter, not quite a mid-range. The Tempos are very fast because of how thin they are, and they are typically a little straighter than what you would Zone would be right out of the box. And they're labeled as such with a 2.5 fade versus the 3 fade. But they still serve kind of a similar role, especially if you have smaller hands or don't throw quite as hard. The Tempo might be great for you if you find the Zone either uncomfortable or maybe too overstable and don't have the time to beat one in. You will kind of get maybe a better flight and feel out of the Tempo. So let's kind of start throwing them. We'll start out with the Tempos, and this is just a little 180 foot shot. Nice little warm-up stop. I'm gonna go through the Tempos real quick. And I kind of have an idea how these fly and how they are stability-wise. These OTB Soft Proton ones were pretty straight. I think the Glow ones were the most stable. I think these other three are gonna be pretty close to what the numbers are. We'll start out with the original Circuit Challenge one here from 2023. And we're just gonna do kind of like a baby flex. Just try to get it in this gap, fade back to the pin. Perfect, just like that. And just a subtle finish, but see, they're very fast. It's really easy to go long with these. Now we'll go with the R2. This R2 surprised me. It feels really good, and it's really nice and stable. See if it's any different. Nice, perfect. A little lower. It does feel like a tick, just a tiny bit more stable than the original run. Here's the OTB run, the Soft Proton. These always felt a little too straight for me, which is why I kind of haven't really bagged it. It just never really seemed to be that reliable and not really what I was looking for in this type of disc. But still nice. I had that nice little nose up, and I didn't throw it super hard. That was not a great throw. We got super unlucky. And now we got the culling, the particle glow. Oh, it feels very similar to the OTB run. Pretty straight. Got that in a pretty good angle. It sort of slowly came out of it. These are just kind of soft flexes, not powering these too much. But here's the glow. This is the one I've been kind of bagging because it's felt a little bit more reliable. Oh, and I tagged that tree twice. That was gonna be so good. I didn't really get enough on it. That one's pretty stable. You can see it was kind of fighting back right away. All right, now we'll go through the zones. Here's a standard Z zone. I expect these to be a lot more stable. Oh man, I torqued that way over. But see, it fights out of it and comes back. And then this is probably gonna be more closer to the tempos. This is a Page Pierce Jawbreaker one that's slightly beat in. This thing got really straight, really fast. Doesn't have a whole lot of integrity. You can see it's just gonna hold. It comes out, but it's not very, very stable. Here's the other one. This is the Ezra Z Glow. This one was kind of a beefcake. This is the one in my bag for quite a bit. You can see it, yeah. See, it's just gonna fight out and be perfect. Now here is a UV Glow. This thing is actually pretty sick. It was white inside, and now it's kind of this blue. Oh, that was a pretty stiff angle. Didn't really fight out. We got a Ledgestone Crystal Z, or Crystal Flex. This is kind of like the same thing as the Get Freakies. Little steep angle, fought out. It's pretty stable. There's a little bit of a headwind too, so these are having a little trouble fighting out if I give too much angle. Classic ESP. That's a really nice angle and just perfect. And then we'll go with the titanium. Oh, that one's pretty stable. Kind of fought out, just perfect. So really solid. Very, very, very solid so far. You know, I'm honestly, I say this all the time, I'm not a robot. I can't hit the exact angle every time. But those are pretty good. You can definitely feel, I always try to communicate how the stability feels because I kind of know how I release out of my hand and the power level. So I can kind of tell which ones are not quite as stable as the other ones based on my personal release. Out of the tempos, I think these glow ones definitely are the most stable. I didn't throw that well, but it was definitely fighting out and would have been on the above side of the pin. A couple of these zones, like I said, these OTB run tempos are very, very straight. Definitely very similar to like a Jawbreaker or a beat-in zone. I'll be interested to see. The Ledgestone one felt pretty stable. The UV one, I'm not so sure. And these, like the Z here and the particle glow, felt fairly straight. I kind of expected this Z zone to be a little bit more stable. Because typically Z stuff is pretty stable right out of the box, but it actually pushed further than both of the tempos. So it is a little glidey. So it might be pretty straight, but these other two tempos and the Neutron one definitely had like a little bit more push on not that heavy of power. Okay, now we're gonna do a little backhand flex, a little downhill. Start off with the zones this time. This one's a little challenging because we kind of want to push it down there. The irrigation ditch isn't running right now, but we want to kind of push it and stable up into the slope, kind of toward the pin. Just a very baby flex and match the hill. Start off with the Z zone. Yeah, oh, pretty stable. Yeah, see, it got out of the, that's pretty good. It got out of the anhyzer pretty quickly. It was a very subtle anhyzer. I'm trying to keep it just this very, very slight angle. All right, here we got the ESP. That didn't have much out of my hand, I don't think, but very similar. That's solid. This is risky, especially like normally, like if you get too much on it, man, you can really blow by the pin if it's not stable enough. All right, now I'll try that UV glow. That's really nice. Pretty flat and perfect stability. Parked it. All right, you go with the Crystal Flex. Ooh, a little more angle, but that's coming out super nice. And oh man, right on the concrete. Definitely understand why people like those Crystal Flexes. That's probably my favorite Discraft plastic. A lot of these I struggle with. Like, I'm not a big fan of titanium here. Whoop. That one had a pretty good angle on it. Very glidey, but it's still, oh, we went into the ditch. Pretty glidey. That titanium feels a little straight, but that was a little more angle, I think. Here's like the Z Glow. A little high, but it's gonna drop in there really nicely. That was solid. I had to get it up a little high because of this guy. And then lastly, we'll have this one I'm a little scared of, the Jawbreaker. Hard to keep it from turning over or going too straight. Yep. See, man, it's just it has no stability left. And see, that's the fear of this. I'm gonna go right from that into the OTB Open Soft Proton, because it's gonna be very similar. We'll see if it holds up. Oh, it's got some stability. Oh, right into the tree. That was coming back though. That was fighting out. So it does have a little bit of integrity. Here is the R2. Very glidey. Nice subtle finish. That R2 one has been really nice. I've been pretty impressed with it. Here's the normal neutron. Oh man, cooked that one. Yeah, that was fighting out, but I pulled that over. It's got decent stability. It's not like super overstable, but you guys can play through. Here's the Glow. See, and I got pretty good ante on that, and it fought out, and it didn't really try to hold it too long. I always missed my line inside a little bit, but that's not bad. And here is the Particle Glow. There we go. Now fight out. Oh, all right. I got a little bit of a straight slide because it got to flat and I didn't have enough air under it, but you could see it was coming out of the Hyzer and it was gonna be really good, like tiny bit more air under it. And that has a nice like left flare instead of that straight flare, but it's got decent stability. Like, I think that Jawbreaker zone is by far the least stable out of all of these. I wish I had a more beat-in ESP zone. This is one I borrowed from a friend. I'm not sure how beat it in it is. I've only had one zone that got pretty straight and I lost it. And so these are all, I think, lightly through. So I don't think that any of them have released any level of beat in. But that Jawbreaker, man, it is crazy. Like, it doesn't feel like the same disc. Even when it was brand new, it felt closer to like an Envy stability than it did like an actual zone. So even straight out of the box, Jawbreaker was a bit straighter, I think. Plus, Jawbreaker in general, I have found to just beat in insanely quickly. I have a Jawbreaker Zone OS that beat in to basically be like a normal zone really fast. And we'll see that when I do my kind of zone overview. But even this OTB one, that is probably the straightest out of the tempos, felt pretty good. Like it was coming out of that. If it misses the tree, it's actually in a really, really good spot. So, and then the Neutron one, I just missed the line. So not too bad. But you can kind of see those zones, for the most part, stabled up well inside the circle. And the tempos tend to just push a little farther. I missed the line on a couple of these, but like these, I was going to the close basket and this glow pushed way too far. Whereas most of the zones tend to get down just a little bit quicker than the tempos. Whoa, sit down. All right. This is not a putting expo, so not really putting any stock onto the putt. Okay, we got 3A here. Kind of like this gap shot off the start, but you can see them putting on it. It's steep slope to the left. Also, kind of over to the right is the canal. So you kind of gotta, forehand is definitely the play here, I think, and try to keep it into the low and then get the hill and maybe a potential skip up. All right, we're gonna start with the tempos this time again. I'm gonna start off with this. We got a kind of a headwind, maybe even slight right to left. I'm gonna start off with the most stable one here, and we are gonna kind of see how they hold up. I've had better luck. Like the tempos are not super torque resistant. Like if you wobble them, they don't fight out that well. So I'm gonna try to get these, I'm trying to channel my inner big germ here and get these on kind of very slight, consistent, smooth, like baby Hyzers, and just see how they react. See, it's pretty stable. That was a good Hyzer. Way short, but that's solid. I just kind of, my tester one. That's the one I can kind of trust. So I could probably hit that pretty hard. And it'll hold up as long as I don't torque it too bad. This one is just a touch less stable, so I have to be a little more careful with the release. There's the R2 tempo. Yeah, not bad. Get around that. All right, yeah, that's pretty good. Drifted a little bit. You could see just a touch of wobble. Drifted just a little bit, but it recovered. And they are pretty pushy, especially if, like me, you don't have that great of a forehand. You can get some pretty solid push and release. Here's the OTB Open one. Oh, I see a little Hyzer release. Kind of just skips up there. See, I was even more careful on that one. And it's actually teaching me to throw these really well. Yeah, I don't, this was from Circuit Challenge 2023. So it's been almost 2 years and no stock release. All right, here is the Neutron. Nice little flip, very similar. Little short, but nice controlled into a headwind. You can kind of trust them, but you do have to control them. Like I said, because they're just not that super torque resistant. They'll usually pretty hold up, especially on a backhand. You can throw them pretty hard and they just go straight. But here is that jawbreaker. I don't trust this one at all, so I'm gonna throw it just like the tempos. Oh, you probably can't see it. It was really low, but it turned over. It just has no resilience, stability at all. All right, here is the titanium one. Oh yeah. But see, the zone, I feel like I can, but that's very similar to that R2 one. I feel like I can push them a little harder, not try to necessarily Hyzer flip them. Here's the ESP. Oh no, oh, it's fighting back. That, I had rolled my wrist just a touch. And so even a zone and a headwind, if you roll your wrist, it recovered, but they still struggle with it. They're still a putter, right? So they still don't handle wobble that great. There's that Z. It's pretty stable. I started out on a touch of Annie, and it fought back. All right, here's the UV. Oh, that was really nice. Just very, very slight drift. Gets up there. All right, there's the Z Glow. Oh, I nosed it up a little bit. Yeah. I've been doing that a lot lately. Just kind of weirdly it's like a baby swoop that kind of sits them nose up. All right, here's the Crystal Flex. Oh, it's stable. That Crystal Flex is very stable. That didn't want to drift at all. Oh, that's definitely the most stable out of them. Okay, I see why people like it. We got a pretty solid headwind. Yeah, I noticed that one up, but it still pushed pretty good. And this crystal was really nice, like very overstable. And you see my tempos are super consistent, right about the same distance. If I get the nice Hyzer flip, and like I was throwing those fairly lightly, a little bit of Hyzer flip. We got a couple on the hill. Some guys are gonna throw in. All right, we got backhand now, 279. Straight ahead. Got the creek on the right though. We got a nice headwind. So really good for this in a headwind. This is about the kind of max distance I like to throw, like a zone or a tempo here. We'll see how they hold up in the headwind. There's the ESP. Nicely stable. Sit down. All right. I normally throw like a more straighter mid. So I'm hoping these, I need to like trust them in the headwind and make sure I get them flat so I don't get that kind of skip finish on the slope. All right, here's the UV Glow. Oh, it's pretty stable. All right. They're holding up in the wind almost better than I expect them to. All right, we'll try the titanium here. Oh boy, needs to get stable. Oh, did it stay out of the? Oh no, then it got the roll in. Yeah, that if you get it too far over the canal, the air will kind of suck it down there a little bit. Here's the ledge stone. Oh, it's so beefy. So beefy. You guys could throw through here. Let me throw the zones and then I'll let you guys through. All right, here's the Z. That Z is fairly straight, but it's got good integrity at the end. Man, these are all ending up in the same spot. Z Glow. About a little wider, but it's still gonna finish. It might be right to left. And here's the jawbreaker. Oh, it's so understable. Well, bye. Go for it. Okay. Busy today. I mean, could have figured. Super nice day in Colorado. Of course it's gonna be busy. All right. Alrighty, we're gonna try the R2. Start with the R2. It's been holding up pretty well. Oh gosh, stalled a little bit, but pretty good. Oh, don't fly away, bag. Ah. Oh man, there's the gust. All right, hopefully this is a good test for these tempos to see if they'll hold up. All right, here's the circuit challenge. Oh, that's so good. Go in the basket. And parked it. Really nice. Yeah, see, they hold up in headwinds. They don't drift a whole lot if you get them flat on a backhand. Even this, so this is the least stable. This is the OTB. Come on. Hyzer back in. Oh, perfect. See, even that, like, it's just holds. Man, I'm throwing these way better than I did the zones. That's kind of my fault. I just couldn't get the zones flat and on the right angle. They're also just a bit more stable than these. These just push straighter. A little bit easier to hit these straight lines. Oh no, that one's gonna get sucked down. Oh, same fate as the titanium zone. Exact same throw. A little nose down, and then once it gets sucked down that hill. All right, here's the glow. Oh yeah. Oh, all right. Parked it with 3 zones, or 3 tempos. So that's kind of why I like the tempo. It's basically a beat in zone right out of the box, but yet still has good integrity. You can see there's a pretty stiff headwind, and they still all finished pretty good, even that OTB one. That is not the original OTB one I had. I bought 2 of them. I gave one away. It was very straight. So this one might be a little bit better than the ones I gave away. Hard to say, but it held up. I gave it probably like the widest berth, but you could see it didn't really want to flip over or anything. And the particle glow was stabling up even with that low nose down. And it just, unfortunately, once they'll flare inward, but then they'll roll backward, which is really annoying. All right, Neutron was a little, I stalled to the R2, but look at the zone consistency. It's the same distance, right? We've got a couple of park jobs there. Same distance, just they're all more stable. So I had them almost all on the same line, but yet all, they're just a little bit more stable. And that's about how, that's a pretty good picture of exactly what the difference is between straight with a minor fade versus a little bit more of a fade. And that's kind of how they're supposed to be. All right, I don't know if you can see, he's putting on it right now. This pin is hard to see, but it's right there in that tree, right behind that tree. So we kind of want to swing it out in this airspace to the right, kind of right above where he is right about now, and kind of swing into the basket. Wind has pretty much died. Right when I finished the headwind hole, it just stopped. So yeah, so now we got a pretty good, what would probably be normally just a great shot for this disc, because you could almost just put it flat and let it come in. I like to put it slightly wider with just a little bit more Hyzer, just so it digs a little bit. So almost at the White Mountains, and let it dig in. I'm gonna start with the ESP zone here. Absolutely perfect. Go with the Z Glow, or actually I think this might be ESP Glow. My Z Glow is another one. I have a Z Glow somewhere, I just don't know where it's at. I think it's in Utah. It's pretty stable. Down. Oh! That skipped up and hit the cage. Dang. That almost skipped into the basket. I think it nubbed out. That was wild. All right. That's the second time I've done that on this hole. All right, here's the titanium. Oh, it's so wide, so wide. Ooh. Yeah, too wide. too wide. All right, this UV glow, I like the feel of this UV glow. It's really cool. Oh, it might be too inside. Needs to get down. All right, solid. Oh, we got the concrete skip. If that would have hit the grass, that would have been pretty good. And the Z. Sometimes when you're too accurate, it's worse. All right, here's the Z. That's perfect. Skip. Oh, that might have rolled on to the concrete circle. That might be the best one yet. And this Crystal Flex, I like the Crystal Flex. It's beefy, so I gotta give it a little flatter. Oh, I swung it a little too wide, but it's so stable. God, it still cruises though. But see, this is where, all right, and now we got the jawbreaker. Have to get this on a pretty significant hyzer, I think, to get it to come back left. All right, so it's holding the hyzer. So it's not like super flippy, but it is pretty, not very stable. So I think that's the difference between like a disc that's like kind of lost its stability, that just isn't stable, but it doesn't have a lot of turn. It just doesn't have a lot of fight. So it's almost a very neutral disc now, but it tends to hold angles. But this is where this type of throw is a little harder with these tempos because they're just a little more pushy. And now we got the tailwind those back, so the wind, the lull stopped, but here's the to be open soft proton. Super wide and high to give it a little more float, and that's really solid. Just a little wide and deep. They're so glidey. They just go farther than a zone as well. All right, here we go. The neutron. That's pretty good angle. But you see how it kind of stays pushing a little bit before it kind of fades. It just doesn't fade super hard all the time. Here's the particle glow. Big germ. Oh, inside, but really nice. Oh, it hit the lip of the concrete and stayed off. But that is a 5 feet bullseye. There's the R2. Oh, wow, I yanked that. And see, it's still fighting, and it's still pretty decent. And I think the wind is a little bit left to right, so it's actually pushing them down a little bit. I kind of yanked that just a little bit. Here's the glow. Yeah, that's the line I want with the tempos. It's a little deep though. See, they just push a little faster. Like they're kind of almost like a 4.5 speed, I guess. I would actually call them a 4.5 speed. And with 2.5 fade, seems about right. Whereas like a zone is typically kind of like a true 4.403. So MVP, I gotta admit, you know, like they have runs and plastics that are slightly different, but they do modify some of their flight numbers for plastics, mostly on the ones that make a big difference, like typically right out of the box, like Electron and Fission. But they also are pretty good at hitting their flight numbers most of the time. There's a handful of molds that are a little weird, and then have had some weird runs, like the Rhythm. And a lot of it's been the newer runs where they've had a special release and it hasn't come out the way that they've thought. And they've made another release, like the Rhythm started out, and then the Trance is the other one. Like I've got a Madison Walker Rhythm that is like opposite of the numbers. Instead of 2 turn, it's got like 2 fade and no turn. But, and I have a trance that's very similar. Oh yeah, we pushed quite a bit long with some of them. Some of these are absolutely perfect though. Oh, we did get one on the concrete. The zone, or the big germ rolled off, which is sad, but we got the Z rolled on. ESP hit the cage and bounced up. Other ESP, but see, some of them push a little straight, but you can see somehow the Crystal Flex pushed pretty far too, and it's probably the most stable out of all of these. But I expected this one to push pretty far. I did not expect this push, but it's so gummy. I think I get a little bit better of a rip on it versus some of these other ones. So it's probably the most comfortable plastic to me, and explains kind of why it, I think it's getting like really good, strong push. I think it's just coming out of my hand really solidly. Okay, 258, solid forehand distance. We got nice airspace out here. I'll try to get out of the way so you can see these fly. I want to see how these handle. Just a little bit of flat power on the forehand. Since I'm not too worried about turning it over, we got all this field space. All right, I'll try to calibrate. We got the OTB open. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get the tempos pretty smooth. If I throw them pretty hard, flat, if I have any torquiness at all, they will kind of wobble to death. So I'm gonna try to get them power, but smooth. Maybe just a baby touch of Hyzer. All right, here's the OTB. Yeah, come on. That's solid. It's stayed a little too wide, but pretty consistent. And like I said, I did not expect to throw these that well in forehand. I was kind of struggling with them the other day, but I have really cleaned up my forehand. I kind of took Eagle's advice and really have worked on throwing not so stable stuff to really kind of smooth it out. And I'm trying to just work my way up to power by starting with slow and smooth and really kind of dial in the form and the release. And it's cleaned up a lot, and I feel like a lot less like choppy and jerky in it. Oh, nice, a little flare. Oh, that's really good. That's inside circle. Okay, that was the glow one. And yeah, so I think I've gotten more spin too, because I'm getting a little bit more of a consistent wrist follow through in line with my weight movement. And I want to just keep doing this and just slow build into power. Oh, there's the culling. Oh, that's really good. A little short. I got it on a little too much Hyzer, but nicely done. Man, I'm really digging these tempos now today. They're so thin, they're very comfortable forehand, even though they're not super torque resistant. And I'm trying to channel my inner big germ and just get these smooth. Wow. Scoop that just a touch. So it lost a little bit of its air because it was kind of scooped, so it's like they're slightly nose up, so they're not carrying as well. Instead of just actually being on a Hyzer, they're kind of slightly nose up. So that's why you want to try to get it smooth, not scoop, smooth. Here's the R2. Oh, too low. That was really good. I just didn't get any height. All right, that's actually pretty solid for the tempos for me. And we'll see if I can do the same thing with the Jawbreaker since it's so not stable. Oh gosh, that was me. That was just terrible body weight. I kind of got stuck behind my weight back a little bit. You want to try to time it with the weight coming forward. Then you get really good pop without a whole lot of arm power. Here's the ESP. Ooh. Oh, got a nice little straight skip. Didn't get as much on that as I would like, but pretty solid. These are definitely a little more stable. I can power these a little flatter and I'm not doing it. All right, here's the titanium. Oh yeah, solid. Still not trusting him enough with enough power. Get them out wide. I'm a little short on all of them. Like I said, I'm not trying to overpower these and not trying to use my arm too much. A lot of wrist and body weight. Here's the Z. There we go. That's trusting it. Let it get flat and then stable up. And that's probably the best one so far. Worked. All right, here's the UV glow. Man, I like this UV glow. Feels a little better than most of them. Oh, little inside, a little early release. Oh, stay, sit. All right, got a little early release on that. Just came ahead of my weight again a little bit. You gotta wait for your weight. All right, here's the ESP glow, I think this is. Oh gosh, torqued it a little bit over, but that's what's nice about a zone. They will handle that torque. You can flex them and get a little extra distance and not worry as much. You don't have to be as clean with a zone as you do a tempo. I think if that was a tempo, it probably just keeps drifting over. All right, and then the ledge stone, crystal flex. Oh, it's so beefy. Ah, I didn't get it to flat at all. Not too bad. Unfortunately, I can't show you more power on forehand because I just don't have it. I could probably throw these on more of a flex. I mean, you kind of saw that earlier on a little softer flexes, so it's still, zones are still putters. And putters and mids, just the majority of them, except for like the really crazy overstable ones like Justices and stuff, just won't handle a lot of flex on a lot of power. Even if you're really clean, they're gonna hold the flex line for a really long time. And if you have any wobble or flutter at all, they will usually just kind of burn out and not recover, just because of the wing and a putter, just even really overstable is not gonna recover. And so you have to be careful with like over flexing. You can give them really high flexes. Like if you're doing approaches and you, especially in the woods and stuff, if you need to get around stuff, they're really nice on like force over flexes because they will pan out of the angle and land flatter so you don't get like crazy rollaways or dives into the ground. And that's one nice thing about most of these. Okay, so my tempo's pretty solid. I actually got the OTB one pretty close. I got the glow into the circle, but I managed to push a couple zones a little bit further. Yeah, like this one with the slight force over flex on this ESP glow. Probably the second most stable behind the crystal flex. And that's the one that was kind of, I was bagging just because of that reason. The Z was really solid though. But man, I did better with these tempos than I thought. They're pretty solid. Oh. Okay, so kind of fun hole. This is alternate. This is 8B, I believe, or 7B, 7B. You can see it's across the water, right by the pavilion over there. A bit, I'm not sure exactly how long it is. I think it's about 280, very slightly uphill, plays slightly longer. And since I've got 7 zones, I'm gonna eliminate 2 zones here. Definitely gonna eliminate the jawbreaker. It's just too straight. And let's see. I'm gonna eliminate the UV just because I don't want to lose it out of the ones I have left because it's not mine. And I got 5 of each. I'm gonna do forehand. I'm gonna do 3 backhands and 2 forehands. We'll get a total CTP on all of them. I trust my backhand a little bit more. So, all right. I'll flip one of the zones, see what goes first. There is the ESP. Heads, we go with the zone. Tails, I go with the tempo. Tempo's box. All right. We're gonna do 5 and 5, throw off. Honestly, here, I'm gonna give you some conclusions before, instead of at the very end of the video here. Zones are awesome. If you don't know already, what disc golf are you playing? They're the gold standard approach disc, kind of comfortable forehand, backhand, overstable 4-speed approach. Pretty much has spawned every manufacturer, has made a copy of it. The tempo is a slightly shallower, slightly less stable version of them. Honestly, these complement each other really, really well. If you get a good, solid, overstable zone out of the box and a solid tempo out of the box, the tempo is going to be a little straighter. It's closer to 4.5 speed and with like 2.5 fade. And so it's going to push straighter and a little bit farther. But the handles, and it's going to be a little bit smoother on your forehand, but they kind of complement each other. You saw it handles headwinds. It does handle forehands pretty well as long as you're clean. And they make a great 1-2 complement for that approach type. So honestly, like I have bagged both of these in the past, and this may end up being kind of my combo in this speed and stability. Probably the NV proxy combo for the 3 speeds is probably going to stay. For the throwing putter, the Berg X and the range probably won't change, maybe. And this will probably be the next combo, most likely. I still got a lot of these to test, and there's some really fun ones. So we'll have to see. I'm not the hugest fan of all the Discraft plastics. So if we can find a couple consistent stock runs that I can replace and have backups with, that'll say a lot. But I think the tempo will definitely probably be in the bag too, because you can kind of use it almost like how I use an NV here at altitude when I go to less dense, or more dense air, I should say. All right, so tempo's box. All right, I'm gonna go start off on a backhand because I trust my backhand a lot more. I'm gonna go with the soft. I'm gonna try to kind of stall it up high and get kind of a slow fade. Got a little bit of a left to right cross. That's really, really good. Sit. Oh, just a tiny bit short, but that is in circle for the putt. And I'm going to try to probably replicate that with this ESP zone. It's a little more stable, so gonna get a little flatter and a little wider here. Oh, a little inside still, it's too stable. Very similar, but it skipped a little bit more. They're almost exactly the same distance, but just more stable. I didn't make enough of a correction, unfortunately. And it was the second follow-up, so that's kind of on me. Not really on the zone. All right, now we'll go forehand. I'm gonna go with my trusty glow tempo. Oh, there's a little bit of a crosswind. It's picking up, which means I gotta get it pretty hard. Can't flip it over. So I'm gonna get it kind of high, Hyzer, and let the wind kind of help it. Come on. A little short, way short. Way short. Okay, solid, solid. Not bad. It should have the advantage here in the forehand We'll go with the Crystal Flex. Oh, a little inside, but that's pretty solid. Oh, and it's gonna get a tasty roll. On the cement? No, off the cement. No, what? Okay. What a roller coaster. Wow. It was almost ultimate bullseye. Still in circle, pretty solid. All right. Go next. All right, we'll go back. I'm gonna go with the Z. I'm gonna go a little more straight at it with a touch of flex here. Oh, it came out of it. Oh, but that's still pretty solid. That's like edge of circle, pretty solid. We'll try to do the same thing with the particle glow. Oh, that's gonna hold it. That's gonna be so nice. Oh, it hit the ball deep. Parked though. All right, it bounced a little off the wall. Not too bad. All right, another forehand. Go with the R2 here. Can't get it up there. Oh, that's solid. Come on, get stable. Get stable. Oh, best one yet. Try to follow that up with the titanium. Oh, a little short. Okay, they're just more stable. Wow. Oh, see, that R2 one has shocked me. My buddy gave that to me, and it is really nicely stable, very consistent. Really happy with that. Man, I hope they do some stock runs of R2 and Neutron and stuff, man. Thanks. I got that guy earlier. He's super nice. All right, what do I do for my last backhand here? Do I try and kind of more spiky Hyzer, a little wider? And this is the circuit challenge here. Oh no, I didn't get it wide. Well, maybe I did. Oh, it's perfect. Yeah, totally exactly what I planned. I mean, that's pretty close to what I planned. It just came out just a touch earlier. I wanted to get it a little higher, a little more spike. I'm gonna do a video on that, why a slight Hyzer, baby Hyzer flip is the best throw in disc golf. But, all right, last throw, here's the zone. Try the same thing. Yeah, that's little, oh no! Invisible branches up there. I thought that was plenty high above that. Wow. Wow. All right, we'll give the zone one mulligan, because that was some, I didn't see I thought that was plenty far above that, and that was gonna be so parked. All right, we'll do the UV. I shouldn't lose it on a backhand. Oh. Haha, perfect, parked. All right. All right, just for fun, we'll throw the flippy page pierce. We'll do a Hyzer flip right at it. See if it flips up. Go in the basket. Dude. That popped up onto the cement with a Hyzer flip, with a zone. Yeah, that's not a zone, but it's fun to throw. Man, this has been fun today. It's so nice to have, even if it's a little bit of breezy. Man, a mid-60s feels like warmer because we're so acclimated. Oh, what a nice day. I'm apartment sitting or condo sitting right next to this course, so I was able to pop out here lunchtime, have a little fun. And my friend has a lot of zones, so I figured it was the perfect timing. Alrighty, let's see what our results are. All right, I gave the zones a couple extra throws. So take that into consideration. All right, that was pretty solid though. That was fun. I think the best throw overall was my forehand with the R2 Neutron, which kind of surprises me. Whew. All right, there's that. The two glows were kind of bad. All right, so they were outside. We got the UV and the titanium here that were just similar to the Neutron, and the soft proton ESP skipped out just a little bit. Z and the crazy roll for the ledge stone, and then we got, yep, the R2 and the Page Pierce Jawbreaker, and then the well, all right, this audio's gonna suck because the wind just broke my receiver. That was pretty sweet. Hopefully I already recorded the outro. R2 was sick. I think considering the amount of extra throws the zone got, I think the tempo 1 on the CTP, the 5v5 CTP, pretty close, but overall I think I got 4 of the 5 inside circle, 2 of them inside circle. Fitting. We got 4 tempos in the basket, got 3 zones. Tempo 1. All right, tempo 1. See you in the next one.